Hello, everybody. I just one fine day, I will be able to start a stream without wanting to pull my hair out. One day it will happen.
It will, one day. And then we'll wonder what's wrong because every single time something's been wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I just, it is what it is. It is what it is. I started my day at 5 a.m. this morning. Not going to get into that, but Hillary knows the morning that I had. So, without any further ado, today is the last day of Bundy.
It is.
It's going to be a longer episode, longer stream. So, more content, yay! So please try to, if you'd like to stick around, there'll be a lot of information and it'll be great. This is gonna be I left off just before Chi Omega.
Right.
So this is gonna be Chi Omega, awful tragediness, and then all the way until he is gone from our lives.
Right.
So
yep.
So it'll be a big one, but a good one. So take it away.
So officially, welcome back to Crime Chats. I'm Hillary.
And I'm Lisa.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment, share, all the things. It does help us out. We are loving that our numbers of followers and people listening and watching is growing.
Yeah.
So thank you. The more the merrier. Come on, chatters. Let's go. Crime chatters. All right. So, can I put this up here for my tallness?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll try to look at the camera and not the...
Not my notes. I need that.
Okay.
We're good?
I think so.
Looks good to me. Okay.
Do I have a boom mic in the way?
Nope.
Or will I?
You're good.
Okay.
Here, you hold that. You're in charge.
I'm in charge.
You're in charge of that.
Oh, the boom mic is there.
Where? Well, you can't even tell.
Okay. I have ADHD, so I'm like, there's something there that shouldn't be there. Anyway.
It's all good. Okay. So last week, like Lisa just said, we ended with the escape, his second and final escape from prison, and how he got away and flew to Chicago and apprehended a stolen. Well, I don't know if you talked about this, but I'm gonna weave in now the stuff that I researched. He stole a white van.
Okay.
Very cliche of him.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
A white kidnapper van. And made it to Florida. Under a false name, under an alias.
Oh.
Which he was known to do because he's whatever. He's
Chameleon
him.
guy.
Yep, he's him. So, January of 1978 is when he makes it to Florida because December 30th, I believe, is when he escaped. Of 1977 is when he escaped from...
He just walked out the front door.
Right. So, he's in Florida now, January 1978. And I have... There was a moment of... I think he was in Florida for about a week before... I have that written down. I think it was on the other one I sent you, but it's okay.
I have two. I have both.
I love you. Okay, thank you. There we go. So on January 8th of 1978, he gets to Florida. But it wasn't until the 15th, so about exactly a week later, is the attack on Chi Omega. Now, if you don't know, I'm going to enlighten you, unfortunately. I'm sorry, like Lisa said, it's very tragic. It's very violent, what he did at the sorority house of Chi Omega. But I think it needs to be said. Obviously, we're covering him, and the victims and survivors should be highlighted here. So, January 15th, 1978, he makes it... It's nighttime, because that's his favorite time of day. And he makes entry to the sorority house through a back door with a faulty lock.
No.
So, kudos to the ladies of Chi Omega sorority. They locked their doors.
Yeah.
It just happened to be a sucky lock.
Yeah, I was about to ask, was the door not locked?
Right.
But, yeah.
It was. Anyway, so, I'm sorry, I'm thinking lots of things. He's just a trash man. Trash human being. Trash men are much better than him. Thank you, Mr. Trash Man. Sorry, I say that to the dogs all the time when it's way squirrel moment. I am so sorry. Did I take my meds today? Anyways,
Uh-huh.
so he gains entry into the Chi Omega sorority house. It's really late. Everybody is sleeping, pretty much. Except for your real late night owls that are roaming the campus still, cramming for tests and things like that. But inside Chi Omega, everyone is sleeping. And he brutally attacks 5 women inside the Chi Omega sorority house. They are Margaret Bowman, Lisa Levy, Kathy.
Lisa?
I know, I'm sorry. Kathy Kleiner, Karen Chandler, and Nita Neary. Now, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy did die from this attack. Kathy, Karen, and Nita all survived with harrowing tragedy, PTSD stories, and we'll talk about them a little bit more in detail. But Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy, what was done to them, what Ted Bundy did to them, honestly, was something that really sealed his fate in court. Again, he thinks he's just God, and he can get away with anything because he's him, Narcissist 101.
So was this like the worst of his
It was so different.
violence,
It was
or
so
just
different because remember back to when we talked about his original victims, he would kind of like stalk them, kidnap them, take them away, and kill them privately in a secluded area like
except
Taylor Mountain,
for the first, because he killed her in her bedroom in the apartment.
Right, but then he took her away.
Yeah.
So he was always just like a one victim man, and was kind of private about it.
Yeah.
And this was completely, his MO was very different. So we'll get to that in a second about the police. We have moments of congratulating our policemen and thanking them for good jobs in this last episode, and other ones of like bumbling rod descendants,
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other.
There's no gray,
Nope.
I guess.
So we have let's talk about Cheryl Thomas, because she's one of the ones. I don't want to talk about her yet. Let's keep on, because there's so much that happened so quickly this night, and it wasn't all at Chi Omega.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Oh.
And that's where I
He
think
was busy.
if we kind of flash forward with hindsight, after I've done all this research, and people have done countless interviews and things like that with him or about him, hindsight is, it feels like he was losing control.
Oh, yeah.
And he was, this is 100% my opinion, it might be someone else's, but I've never heard it. I think because he was jailed and almost like demasculated.
Yeah.
Or emasculated. Same to me. Whatever. Sorry. English words. I think it was almost like he had to get all of that murderous energy out.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was suppressed in jail for so long, But that's just me. And that's, in my mind, why this frenzy at Chi Omega happened.
That makes sense, yeah, because he's got all this
Right.
pent-up rage inside of him.
That's my opinion, just based off of how different it was from his original kidnaps, rapes, murders, all those things. Those he had time to plan, and he was getting away. Nobody was on it, So that's just my thought on that. Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy were both strangled, bludgeoned, and raped. Lisa Levy had a bite mark on her left buttock. And that's why I said these attacks, the Chi Omega attacks, are really what sealed his fate. Because every single person in this world has a unique bite mark. It's almost like a fingerprint, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was one of the very first times that kind of evidence was used in court. And there's so much about the court, chief. Oh my gosh, I just want to say it all, but I need to make it make sense. Okay. So Lisa Levy did have a bite mark on her left buttock that was actually later proven to be given post-mortem.
Oh.
So he bit her after she died.
I mean, to both things, but after.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. Just he was so mad.
Maybe.
He just had one more. I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
I really hate hearing of when like violent offenders like bite people to like cause pain. Because so when this Lisa was little, my mom would get calls from preschool because I would bite people for taking my toys, and it was always boys, and I'd always bite them in the butt. Because I don't know why, but I'd be like, you took my toy. And so, like, I'm thinking about, like, Ted Bundy bit his victim in the butt after she died.
Right.
I would bite people in the butt.
Don't relate yourself to him.
But we're not the same. We are not the same.
You're not.
We're not the same.
And you were also a toddler or a young child, right?
Yes, I also no longer bite people. I don't cause pain.
That's good.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Good job,
Good
Lisa.
to know.
I'm glad that I grew out of it. Woo.
She got that off her chest. We're good. All right, so we now have Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler and Nita Neary, who survived the attack of Chi Omega. Nita wasn't there at the time of the Blitz. I'm just going to call it, right? The frenzy, the chaos. She interrupted him by coming home.
Oh.
And she was a pivotal eyewitness on the stand.
Good. Because
she could explain to a T everything about him. And how he, like, kind of ran past her out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, why is there a random man in our house? And he was wearing a ski mask. But not over his face.
What?
Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I even have a clip of her trying to describe this, and the lawyers who are asking her questions, on the stand are like, can you demonstrate that? And she was like, well, it was above his eye. She was like here, and then over his ears. So it was like on the top of his head.
So it was like a hat.
Yeah.
It was wearing a hat.
Which is, if you're a bad guy using a ski mask, that kind of defeats the purpose of the ski mask.
Yeah, like why even
to hide your face.
Get a ski mask if you're not going to hide your face with it.
Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting
Maybe he really wanted to wear a beanie.
Maybe.
And he didn't have one.
Maybe.
He was like, you know what? People look cool when they wear these, and I want to wear one. I have this ski mask. I'll just makeshift. I'll make it work.
Weird.
It's a beanie, man.
Weird.
Uh-huh.
So that was one thing that I was kind of like, wait, ski mask? Or is she talking about a beanie? But she kept saying ski mask, and so I was like, all right, he just doesn't know how to wear a ski mask. Another idiotic thing from Ted Bundy. So she kind of skated by, I guess, unharmed, because she just came home, and he was like, oh, and left.
Oh, so she wasn't harmed.
No.
Okay, good.
Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler were both brutally attacked, but they did survive. And I have a lot of quotes, and I want to share some clips too in a moment.
It's interesting that he didn't go after, like, she came home and then he just, like, got scared and ran away instead of, like, he could have like attacked her too. Right.
And I'm thinking maybe because his typical MO is unassuming, sleeping, weaker.
Oh, yeah.
But she's there. She's awake. She's like, hey.
Yeah, he really wasn't a confident man.
No.
He didn't have, like...
He was a bully. I mean, honestly,
yeah. Piece of trash.
The worst kind of bully. Kathy Kleiner, in an interview on ABC News, she is quoted as saying, "There's no reasoning. I was asleep in my room. I was safe. I was sound.
Mm-hmm.
I was asleep, and yet evil opens a door and attacked me." End quote. And I believe it is, I had her somewhere. Where is she? There is pretty unnerving, I guess is the right word I'm looking for, unnerving descriptions of Kathy and Karen
Mm-hmm.
when the police got there. But they sometimes differ, so I didn't add them. So they were beaten really badly,
I'm so
is all
sorry.
we kind of know.
Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna. Sorry, people that are on the stream. This is gonna bother the poop out of me.
That's right.
It's not like really seeing me.
Oh,
It's
no.
like half of my face is like not in the shot, and it's bothering me a lot.
Technical
Difficulties.
Check out this cool cup that you can buy too.
Yeah.
And be at Crime Chatter.
I think this. Okay, that's better. Right. Right.
They'll be full.
Okay. There we go.
Alright.
Yeah, I can go back. I'm so sorry.
All good.
I was trying to like clandestinely move my camera, which is probably more annoying. So I was like, I'm just gonna pause.
Just take care of it. Just take care of it.
Anyway. Alright.
So, like I said, Kyle Mega was not the only thing that happened that night.
Okay.
So, again, my interpretation of this is because he got interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
He was angry. Or he needed to still get out murder of, I don't know, show his dominance, assert dominance,
So all that pent up from being,
Right.
locked up. Yeah.
So, a couple of blocks away,
Mm-hmm.
he enters another house
Okay.
through a window. Through the kitchen window.
I didn't even know that he went somewhere else. I thought it was just kind of mega.
Yep. He goes in through the kitchen window, and from my understanding in this research of how houses were in this position, in this situation, it's either like a shared house, like where they're renting out rooms, or it's like a duplex or quadruplex kind of situation where you have shared walls.
Oh, okay.
But it is constantly referred to as a house.
Okay.
So it's not an apartment or another dorm, it's a house, but there are neighbors close enough between the thin walls, it's another thing that is said, that they can hear things going on. So my interpretation of that is like a duplex or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheryl Thomas was in this residence when Ted Bundy climbs through the kitchen window, which is right next door to her bedroom, and he attacks her. He decides to change his facial covering from his makeshift
beanie,
ski mask beanie, and now he has a pantyhose mask over his head.
But you can see through.
I don't understand either. We're not criminals. We don't get it. So
Maybe if we were, we'd understand.
exactly. I hope we never understand because that means we've gone down the wrong path. So Cheryl describes this pantyhose mask as having eye and mouth cutouts
Okay.
and being knotted at the top.
Okay.
But then he takes it off and leaves it at the scene.
Okay.
Which I literally put in, why?
Yeah.
Why? If you're going to take it off, okay, but bring it with you.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
he's
got.
he was just unraveling is what I think at this point.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, there's always a point where
Right.
they mess up and they that's how
No
they get
turning
caught.
back, yeah. So he brutally attacks Cheryl with severe injuries to the point of her jaw being almost completely detached from her
Oh
face.
my god.
The police reports and medical reports are saying, there was a quote here, I wanted to get it right. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, I didn't put it in here. Anyways, it was something about like it was hanging on by one hinge or something like that.
Oh my god.
And so when she was trying to talk to the police to tell them what happened to her, she couldn't talk. Yeah. But the whole reason she survived is because of that neighbor that was so close to her in proximity that she could hear things not supposed to be happening at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And this neighbor, I really hope I say her name right, Debbie Cicciarelli, I believe. Cicciarelli. She was the neighbor who knew Cheryl and knew her phone number. And she heard really loud thumps. She heard Cheryl moaning. So she tried to call her. She heard through the walls the phone ringing, but Cheryl wasn't picking up. So Miss Debbie, I'm just going to leave her last name, I'm sorry, I tried. Miss Debbie calls the police, and because Debbie called the police, Cheryl survived. Cheryl herself is quoted as saying, "If I did not have my neighbors right next door to hear something, I don't think I would have survived. It was that close." End quote. And she has lasting injuries and issues from that night. They had to reconstruct almost every bone in her body, or in her face, and her jaw was like wired shut while it's set and things like that. Completely altered her life. Now, I really want to share a clip. Can I share a clip?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. And this is of...
I'm gonna have to move that.
Let's do Nita's, because Nita Neary's the one I was like trying to show you how she was trying to explain the things. And I want you to watch Bundy's reaction too, as he's watching her testify against him. And then I was just like so impressed with this woman and how she's on the stand, and you can tell she is so nervous.
Okay. All right, you're good. You can play it.
Good. I'm good to go.
Yep.
So we have this clip right here. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, it's gonna open a new one.
Uh-oh.
Dang it. Hold on.
Lisa's our tech guru.
I try so very hard. I try so very hard. It's working. Okay, never mind.
Hey.
Yay!
I also think, based off what we know of Ted's preferences of women, she doesn't really fit because she's not brunette.
Oh.
So that might have been another
she's
thing.
blonde,
Right,
yeah.
that might have been another thing that like spooked him. I'm not even sure if that's the right word either, but he was like, nah, she's not my type. All right.
Oh.
So volume check. There's no volume yet, but
Oh, I can hear it. Good. Oh.
pause for a second.
Can you do it? Because it's not my phone.
For a second. Oh man. Okay, we're gonna have a little bit of reverb for a sec. Okay, now let's hear. Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear it. Okay.
Okay. Just I'm turned up a little bit.
Okay. Good.
On the.
All right. Good. It's always a kind of crapshoot if we can hear it or not on the live stream. Okay, so this is Nita Neary, the one who interrupted Ted at Chi Omega in his onslaught of the ladies there. Caption.
Yes, Nita J. Neary.
Spell your last name for the
Neary.
And what area? Pull that microphone down a little bit where you don't have to come to it if you want to. We don't mind.
I love how janky the microphone is set up with like duct tape.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I was like, oh Lord.
It's funny.
So that's funny.
Do you live in this time?
I live in Indiana.
Back during January of 1978, where did you live?
I lived in Tallahassee, Florida.
In what location?
Lived in the Chi Omega house.
Okay. And what were you doing in Tallahassee, Florida at that time?
I was going to school.
And what was your mate?
Yes, he had a ski cap pulled down to about his eyebrows and over his ear. And it looked to be like dark navy blue knit ski cap. And then he had a dark like navy blue jacket on that went right to about the belt. And light colored pants. And I don't remember anything about shoes or anything like that.
You said you had a ski cap on. Did you tell us what you knew about a ski cap?
A winter cap, kind of a
Not a mess.
knit pullover.
Okay, so it wasn't a mouse.
It was actually a cap. Okay.
He had it about to his eyebrows, like I said.
He Could you demonstrate that for us?
The ski cap?
Yes,
Or what?
about where it was.
Well, it came about to here on the eyebrows and came down across the face. I think.
Indicating the width past your eyebrows and then over her ears, that's right. Just.
Yes, I have.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you recall the man that you saw at the door of Colorado on the morning of January 15, 1978?
Yes, I do.
Is that man in Portland? Okay?
Yes, he is.
Would you point him out for us, please?
Straight at him. Yep. Look at his face.
Well, that's
She's breathing a lot heavier than now. I mean, it's scary.
Well, yeah, especially since he's defending himself. He's the one that said objection, right?
Look at his face.
That's a record reflect that she has identified. No further questions.
So that's Lisa Levy, and I applaud her.
That's Nita.
Thank you. That's Nita
Nita
Neary,
Neary.
not Lisa Levy. Lisa Levy's dead. Sorry. And I can't imagine how terrifying that was.
Yeah.
This evilness right here. And we're gonna get into. I have a few more clips that are shorter than that later that just really exemplify his theatrics in court and stuff and how he behaved. But that one right there, I think, was one of the first times that he was literally forced to see someone pointing at, you did this. It was that man right there.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that. He did not like that. There are other accounts and testimonies and things like that where he is accused, I guess is not the right word, but where survivors are on the stand testifying what they saw, what they know, what happened to them. And he is clearly agitated, where he has outbursts and things. Anyways, it's a whole thing, which we're getting to. So Nita Neary, thank you very much for being brave and pointing him out.
Thank you. I can't imagine, not just like he's in the courtroom because he's the defendant, but like he's the defense attorney technically in that situation. So I mean, even just him objecting. I mean,
Talk about like,
I
I would
feel like
turtle
I'd be
mode,
like,
you know, yeah.
What do you mean? You know, like just hearing his voice and like him like talking to you, like, oh man, I can't even imagine that at all. Because like normally defendants, they don't talk, right? They have to stay silent. They're just there, but just like then you hear his voice and he's looking at you and he's objecting to you, to what you're saying. Ugh,
telling everybody you're a liar.
I can't imagine.
My heart goes out to anybody who has to do things like this against their own perpetrators. Cheryl Thomas, one of the sorority sisters that survived, she was a really big part of the whole case against him, really, because again, survivors, man, and I'm saying this from a perspective of having been through pretty bad things with domestic issues. It's hard to relive it, number one, but to then, like you were saying, tell it to a lot of people and be like, this happened, this is real. That it's so scary. And to be in the house where someone was brutally murdered, two someones were brutally murdered, and you and another person were brutally attacked, and have to retell that. I'm in awe of the strength of these people, these women.
Yeah.
So Cheryl Thomas, one of the sorority sisters, I'm so sorry, I'm getting my people mixed up. Cheryl Thomas was the one attacked several blocks away.
Okay.
I am so sorry. And we have her testimony later. And she's like a huge proponent of advocating for being resilient through your trauma and things like that. Now she goes on campuses and talks about safety and numbers and things like that.
Okay.
So she's using what happened to her for good kind of
I love
situation.
when people can take something so terrible and tragic
Turn it
and turn it
around.
into something amazing. Yeah. I love that.
I know. I feel like I'm missing things. Maybe it's in my notebook and I wrote it down. I didn't bring my notebook on purpose today because I would have been like this the whole time looking down at my notes. So I'm gonna move forward. We have talked about Cheryl. Yep. Bum ba bum. Before he is found or even discovered to be the person who did the bad things at the Chi Omega house and to Miss Cheryl. Look. There is Miss Chandler. There is Miss Cheryl. There's a bunch of people. And I'm sorry, and my brain, I'm trying to drink coffee and I'm not going to blame it. It's me. I messed up. Cheryl.
It's the crime testimony.
It is. I just need more in it. Almost empty. I'm sorry. Forgive me. We have this huge, furious, chaotic event at the Chi Omega. Then he runs down and attacks Cheryl and flees. So, he's on foot. He's not apprehended yet. Nobody's connecting any of this, even in the next couple of days, to Ted Bundy back on the Northwest.
Well, yeah, because, like, he got so far away. Like, how are you... Because he had a 17-hour head start, right? He was able to go so far away. Of course, they're not going to connect it immediately.
And it's so different. The MO, like I said, it was so different that it's not going to immediately be like, oh, yeah, that's that guy that was, kidnapping and killing people in
yeah, because there's multiple victims in the same place.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like a frenzied attack, anyways. So, nobody's connecting dots yet. He is only found because of, I need to hear applause, because good police work. Good routine police work.
Good.
Remember he stole that white van?
Yes.
So it's stolen. It's been reported as stolen.
Oh, good, yeah.
But he's still driving it around.
Mm-hmm.
He is identified by a firefighter, at a middle school or a junior high school, leading a 12-year-old girl, Kimberly Leach,
Oh, yeah.
to his van. And that is the last known sighting of Kimberly Leach alive. That is also the youngest proven victim of Ted Bundy.
And he also won't admit to that one. That was one that he didn't...
Yep.
Because for some reason, a bridge too far is young children. So, I mean, I'll I kill all these women, but never
Not
little
kids.
girls.
Not
Never.
kids. Yeah.
Never.
So we have Kimberly Leach often gets kind of brushed under the rug when they're talking about Bundy's final timeline kind of thing, and it makes me really sad. She was 12 years old, She was a kid, and I don't know, we don't have a lot on her, at least publicly. Again, she's a minor.
So, I mean, is it just that she had brown hair and she looked like his other victims? Or, do we have anything to kind of tell us why?
Nope.
No?
Don't know. But he is adamant. Even in... There are other clips, I'm not going to show you all of them, but there are clips of his trial for Kimberly Leach specifically, and that's a different trial from Chi Omega. He's tried for her kidnapping and murder. He specifically says, so we're just going to trust the word of a man, meaning the fireman, that he saw me? He doesn't even know me. And just nonsense like that, it's kind of how courtrooms work. We have witnesses. We trust the witness,
Yeah.
But those kinds of things, he was just trying to downplay all of the evidence and witness testimonies and things like that. The other thing that really was the nail in the coffin for him about Kimberly Leach was on her body. She had these fibers that exactly match the fibers inside that white van.
Okay. So it's
So-
been proven this is
Right.
definitely Ted.
Yeah. It's him. He did it.
Yeah.
He did it. So this was in Lake City, Florida.
How did he get from Tallahassee? Because he said he was on foot. So, he had the van. I'm sorry.
He had a stolen van.
How far away was Lake City to?
That's a good question. We can look that up. But there are also more proof, more evidences of him being there because he uses his credit card to check himself into a hotel.
Yeah, he wasn't the smartest. And, like, we know that, but now I'm like, no, he was pretty dumb.
And we're going to get to those things, too, at the
Uh-huh.
end, where it's like all these myths about Bundy that we've kind of been accepting, that we're going to set straight for you.
Mhm.
So, he checks himself into a hotel in Lake City, Florida.
Okay.
People there see him.
Mm-hmm.
He introduces himself as Ted.
Having a fake name.
He had fake IDs, he had fake names, but he
Yeah,
was like,
so
but I'm Ted.
La la! Like,
Narcissism. I mean, it blows my mind how people with narcissistic people think they're just the bee's knees and untouchable.
yeah.
And it's case in point here. I mean, anyway, so there are receipts of him checking into this hotel blocks away from the middle school, from the junior high school,
Okay.
a week before she goes missing. So timeline adds up, physical distance is there, and then the fibers on her directly match the fibers in his stolen van, in the van that he stole. And he's like, but you don't have any evidence. That's all circumstantial.
No.
Yes, kind of.
Fibers
The
are
fiber,
physical.
right. But he's saying, like, my DNA is not on her, like, I didn't,
Oh.
that kind of stuff. Or there's no blood and that kind of, he was really trying to downplay the concrete evidence, the lack of that in the
Something
case.
that I learned, though, actually from Mindhunter,
Mhm.
is that, like, people think that, like, all all fibers are the same, whatever, but they're not. So, like, if it matches that van, it was that van. Like,
Right.
it wasn't another van.
Right. Which I think is just fascinating that people know that and can prove that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because, I mean, anybody would just assume that, that's probably, like, all carpet fibers are the same.
carpet.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
It's orange, it's yellow, it's red.
Yeah. But like even if they have two different green fibers, like they'll be both green,
Yeah.
but they're different.
That's cool. See, things I just want to know. I want to learn things. I just like learning.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have Kimberly Leach between his capture and this Chi Omega and Cheryl Thomas and then Kimberly Leach. None of these were connected to him until I don't like this man. He scares me on a level that
He scares me too.
that scares me. I mean, and I don't know how to say that, but
Yeah.
he's evil.
Yeah, and
He's evil.
that's why I'm so interested. And I
Right.
keep saying this, but like the things that scare me the most are the things that I want to know the most about.
And I think that's intelligent. I think that's an intelligent thing.
So
Face your fears, right? The devil you know kind of situation. Yeah. So he's arrested February 15th, 1978. Officer David Lee. He notices some suspicious driving
no.
and he decides to run the plates. Ding, 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 stolen van.
Oh. Wee.
So
I'm
he,
doing the cop car sound. Did anybody else know that was a cop car sound? That was supposed to be
you did a little dance. I wasn't really sure.
cop cars to dance.
Woo, woo. It's a whole different party.
Oh God.
So
Why am I like this?
it makes us special. So he evades the police. He tries to. He runs again. Car chase. Very, very brief. There are. I don't want to say stories, differing levels of this next bit. So I didn't add it to my notes, but I want to mention it. There are mentions, I'll just say it that way, of Bundy in physical altercations with the police. Like, he fought them.
Uh-oh.
I didn't find proof of that, but I did want to mention it because it is in a lot of different articles and things like that. So, maybe, and that just doesn't seem like him.
Yeah, because he's a pussy. So,
Yeah,
like,
he would
wouldn't
only
have,
go toward the weaker.
he wouldn't have
Right.
fought a cop because he would lose.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he knew that.
So that's why I was kind of like, that doesn't sound like him. But again, I mean, he was unraveling, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it was shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Officer David Lee, Gold Star. So he was like, something is amiss.
Not bumbling Ron.
Not Bumbling Ron. We'll have him later.
Okay.
Very,
I
very
love how he
soon.
always shows up.
You know, that should be another merch. Another merch
Bumbling
item.
Ron.
Bumbling Ron. Don't be Bumbling Ron. Anyway, no squirrels. No squirrels, Hillary. Okay. Officer Lee runs plates, notices it's a stolen car, pulls him over, finally he gives him a fake ID and name, and I believe the one he chooses this time is Kenneth Meisner. Kenneth Meisner is what he went with.
Meisner.
Yeah. And he sticks to that name for 11 interrogations.
Wow.
Where now people, police officers, detectives, not police chief, sheriff, from different boroughs and areas are starting to be like, that guy looks awfully familiar.
Yeah.
Can we talk to him too?
Yeah.
And so other officers and detectives are coming in to talk to him, and he's sticking with Kenneth Meisner. Yep. Until interrogation 12.
Oh, what
What's
happened?
different about interrogation 12? I don't know. Maybe he was just tired of...
Oh,
Kenneth?
he just like slips up or something?
So, interrogation 12. During the 12th interview, according to Justia Law, which I really like that site, I found a lot of information on that site, officers and detectives, quote, learned that Ted Bundy was wanted for escape and homicide in Colorado, and was a suspect in 36 sex-related murders in the Northwest United States. During these interviews and thereafter, Bundy also became the prime suspect in the January 1978 murders of the Chi Omega sorority members in Tallahassee, end quote. So, I think his inflated ego just got the better of him in those 11. He was just kind of trying to like play with the detectives and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were smarter than he was giving them credit for, and they started talking to each other. And they're like, oh, we know who you are,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And they were just kind of waiting for him to slip up enough, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't show your cards kind of thing.
Right. So, finally, he's like, you got me, I'm dead, kind of situation. And his all like, good old boy, charisma and stuff. And, So, he was caught by a lovely officer just doing his job. Thank you, Officer Lee.
Thank you, Officer Lee.
Yes. Now, because now he's in custody.
Again, finally.
Right. But there's so much evidence. It's almost like, how do we, like, wheedle it down kind of thing? Like, 36 crimes, you're trying to do all at once. I can imagine that's just, like, a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. So, they really hone in on Lisa Levy's butt bite. Right? Her left
Yeah, because as
bite
you
mark.
said,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a different one. Yeah.
Right, and that was different to most of these investigators and people, and they were in the late 70s and early 80s. Science is really growing in terms of crime sleuthing and stuff. We have a very famous, and we'll get into why it's famous in a minute, but it's a little controversial too in terms of Ted Bundy's defense, the bite mark being him, and he's very adamant, like, that's disgusting, and I would never, that's so,
I would never.
like, yeah, Like he's trying to defend his honor, kind of thing. Oh, honey, that's been So we have, and I didn't get their name, but it's a forensic odontologist.
Okay.
So they were able to match the bite mark left on Lisa Levy to an exact indentation, of his dental impressions. So case closed.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's again trying to fight it so much, but you can't fight evidence. I mean,
Yeah,
you just can't.
and criminals always try to do this. Like they're like, you have proof that I did it, but I still didn't do it. You have this
It wasn't
irrefutable
me.
proof that I bit her butt after she was dead, but I promise I didn't, because I would never do that, because that's gross. Like,
It's so not gentlemanly.
I'm a charming gentleman. I would never do that.
And his
You're a
little flirt,
monster.
Ugh. So, Florida trials. They start with Chi Omega,
Okay.
and the Chi Omega trial is one trial, and then after that one he's tried separately for
For Cheryl Thomas.
no
Oh.
for why did I forget her name? I'm so sorry, little girl. Oh my gosh, Kimberly Leach.
Kimberly. Okay.
He's tried separately for her.
So is Cheryl in the same trial as Chi Omega
Mm-hmm.
then? Okay.
She's called as a major
Oh, okay.
star witness, which is another fun statement from Mr. Ted. He's like, who was it? It wasn't her. It was Carol DeRanch,
Oh.
who came to also testify against him at his pre-sentencing.
Good.
And he was like, I'm tired of hearing this story. I've heard it 3 times. I think you're just becoming a professional witness.
Do it.
Okay. And I love looking at like different, because that was on a YouTube, obviously people, and it is Carol DeRanch. Carol DeRanch has her own YouTube channel, by the way, which is where I got a lot of these clips. In courtroom clips of him.
Oh, I'm gonna follow
and
her
stuff.
right now.
Yeah.
Well, after this.
But a lot of the comments on there were like quoting that and be like, yeah, Ted, you became a professional serial killer. Like,
Yeah.
this is how courtrooms work. You have to recite it over and over so it sounds recited.
This is why you don't defend yourself. This is why you don't defend yourself, because you get emotional and then you start saying shit like, whoa, like you're unraveling in front of everybody's eyeballs.
Yep.
And like, this is why,
When we talked about that last week, everybody gets defensive when you're accused of something. Every single human being does. Whether you did it or you didn't.
Yep.
In the courtroom is not the time to have the outburst of, I didn't do that, she's lying.
Yeah. That's why defense attorneys won't even let their own clients defend them. Like,
They should never get on the stand.
because
Ever.
they're gonna be too emotional. They're gonna get defensive. There are too many
Variables.
options,
Yeah.
too many things that could go wrong for them. So they're like,
But enter narcissism,
yeah.
I can't go wrong. So, we've got the Chi Omega trial. Presiding Judge Edward Court. We'll just call him Judge Edward. He has been quoted by saying some very famous, controversial, I don't really know, quotes, and we're going to get into those too.
Oh, good.
Because some of the, as a judge, no matter what, if you're in criminal court or civil court or family court, your job is to be impartial.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm trying not to diss Judge Edward, but I think some of the statements he said, he shouldn't have said.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's hard, right? Because you have your position, your job. You have to be impartial, but you're also human,
I know.
and so you're
yeah.
gonna have your feelings about
Right.
stuff, and it's hard to sometimes keep those feelings out of it.
Yeah, especially when you're faced with a monster like Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
So, we have Chi Omega first. And getting my timeline straight, we have dun. Oh yeah. So the Chi Omega trial lasted from end of June to the end of July of 1979. He was arrested for that in February of 78. So poor Teddy boy had to sit in court for over a year and a half. Oh. Anyways, that's what I think.
You're here.
Yeah. So he's probably real frustrated because he hasn't had any of that murderous energy to get out yet in
Yeah,
a year
it's
and a
all
half.
pent up.
So he's representing himself. Surprise, surprise. And you can tell when it's his turn to be up and like talking and questioning witnesses and stuff. I feel like he's getting off on it. Like he's reliving it.
Yep.
He loves, you can tell he's relishing in, like you were saying, getting to, on the defense side or on the prosecution side, how awful that would be. But then from his side, how much power he would probably get from being able to be like, oh, wasn't that so scary?
And
I was
I'm
so
wondering,
close, and get closer and closer and be like,
so that reminds me, sorry I keep talking about Mindhunter, but we're talking about these serial killers, these kinds of people. So I mean, there's killers that will like revisit the scene of a crime because they want to relive it. This is probably just like that.
I imagine
like
so.
not only is he's not revisiting the scene of the crime, but he's literally reliving along with the witnesses,
and he's enjoying
getting to
it,
talk about it, and he's getting to like talk about it and use his own voice and be just maintain control over these people even after the fact. Yeah, just I
know it's part of our Constitution, but I really don't think defendants should be able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't think that's
they should change. I mean, especially because like defense attorneys don't want their clients on the stand, so like why is that still a thing that's like just make it.
I don't know. I think
I don't know.
In terms of like courtroom talk and jargon and stuff, I think, does that not bias the results or the decision?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you're right. I feel like it would.
I don't know. That's my thought. I really don't think either of the parties themselves should be able to represent themselves in a court hearing.
Yeah.
I think that's biased. That's me.
Yeah. They should be able to take the stand if they want.
Right.
But as far as like doing the whole thing themselves, they shouldn't be able to do that.
I don't think so. During this Chi Omega trial, we have some very famous, infamous clips of Mr. Bundy just flipping his lid,
Oh.
being angry.
Oh, good.
We're starting to see the real Bundy come out.
Yep.
And at one point, and I want to share the clip with you. I think I put it in here. Oh, I didn't. Darn. But I did quote it. He is mad about something. He doesn't want the jury to see or hear or know. So he gets up the jury's out of the room at this point. Because I think there might have been like a sidebar or something, like jury needs to be excused so that they're not tainted, from their whatever. And so it's just the defense, prosecution, and the judge, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's mad about something. He gets up, he takes his folders of notes and everything, and he goes, what does he say? I'm going to get it right. Quote, "I'm leaving this courtroom." He gets up. Tries to leave. Oh, yeah, but then he's blocked by another person in a suit, and I'm assuming it's maybe his, like, co-counsel or something.
Oh, okay.
But, like, imagine, so you have, like, a typical courtroom, right? You have the judge in the middle, and then if I'm in the judge's spot, he's getting up and going this way to the judge's left. So I imagine there's a door right there. Mm-hmm. And so this other man in a suit blocks the door. And I'm like, oh, not from Bundy, but, well, he's like, and so Bundy has his, his stuff. And then there's like 4 or 5 other men in suits that come in, like, kind of encircle Bundy. And Bundy's taking off his suit coat and everything. And he's like, he's real agitated. You can tell.
No.
And he says, I'm leaving this courtroom. And the judge says, no, you're not. Very calmly. And then Bundy says, I'm not going to something. I didn't catch it's very garbled. It's old video, right? I'm not going to something when that jury walks in. And he's mad. I mean, you could tell he's mad. And then blank, blank, blank. And you knew that looking at the judge. And he's pointing his finger at him and all this kind of stuff. And I'll rain on you, Jack. And he turns around to Jack, which is, I think, the prosecutor.
Okay.
And he goes, no, you'll see a thunderstorm. And then, like, the whole thing is very theatrical. And then his posse, I don't even know, kind of, like, gets him to go back to his spot, coat, jacket off, suit jacket off. But he's all like, he's angry. He's mad about whatever was just said or determined or ruled. And he doesn't want the jury to know about it. So I'm leaving then, like a toddler. Right? I don't get my weight, then I'm out of here, that kind of thing. And that wasn't the last time he really showed those true colors. There was, it might have been either Carol DeRanche's testimony or I think it was hers. Golly, again, these women were just like looking straight in his eyes and just telling him, and he did this and he did that, and like staring him down. And I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
But he then, after that testimony, I think it was Carol DeRanche's, he stood up and said that this jury has been biased. And this was with jury in the room. He stands up completely out of, courtroom decorum. He's not abiding by any of these courtroom tactics. He should be, he's not doing that because he's like, I'm mad and I'm me and I need to say my words. And he goes, I just need the jury to know that she's a liar. And the judge is like, stop. And now his other guys are trying to like push him, pull him down, like, sit down.
Yeah. No, he's just making it more obvious that he's guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what you do. And this is why in interrogations they try to like rattle the witness.
Right.
And stuff, because they want to see those emotions, because that means that they got him.
Yeah.
And so in that instance, like, we got him.
Yep.
He's big mad because he knows he's been caught.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's guilty.
We against the wall there.
We got him. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure the prosecutor was like living his best life.
Keep talking.
He was like, come on, yeah, what else? What else?
do you
Who
feel?
else am I? How else? Yeah. Tell me how you really feel. Come on,
What's that lie about? Who else is there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has that little outburst, right? And we have what makes this whole Chi Omega case extremely not good is a bad word, but beneficial, I think. I don't know, we'll get there, we'll get a word. This was the very first televised murder case of our country.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised, because you'd think Bundy, like, he wants all eyes on him.
Mm-hmm. So what he said, he was like demanding that the cameras leave the room and how it was going to bias the media and blah, blah, blah. Be aware that based off of Bundy's own, not demands, but filing, I guess, the trial itself was moved to a different county because Bundy was like, well, the media has already poisoned this community and I won't have a fair jury. And so the judge was like, fine, go to Orange County. You can do it there. And so they already moved it for him. Which
I don't know about like jurisdictions and stuff for courts. I don't know, because I think there's like you have to do it in the county that the thing happened in, or where like they're from or something. So I don't know what the rules are in terms of, what county the court is. I don't know, like, I guess he was able to change it, but I don't know like exactly what.
My understanding is yes, unless like there's been a major media production of the whatever happened.
Oh.
In which case jury pooling would be tainted.
Oh, okay.
So then they move it as close as possible,
Oh,
but far
okay.
enough away where the judge in the court feels it's
Okay, that
less
makes, I mean,
of
the
a-
judge can do whatever he wants.
That's true,
as the judge,
that's true.
But
you also
okay.
want justice to prevail, and if this person was innocent, but the media tainted it as if he was terrible, you don't want that to
Right.
enter into the
Okay.
decision making.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he tried so hard to get the cameras out of the courtroom, and the judge says, this is another one that I really liked from him, quote, "We're conducting the public's business, gentlemen." Gentleman, he was talking directly to him.
Mm-hmm.
"And we're going to conduct it in the sunshine," end quote. So I really like that. He's like, nope, all your dirty laundry's coming out, bro.
We're all watching it.
All
We're all
of us,
gonna watch
yep.
it. Yeah.
Yep. We have Carol Ann Boone. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah, she's the one that gave him the $500 and helped, basically assisted him when he escaped the second time.
Well, she's on the witness stand for the defense, telling the whole world about how caring and kind and loving
Teddy
he
is.
is.
He's a teddy bear.
And then they just get married right there. I would love to show you this clip. So, again, from Carol DeRanch.
Oh wait, let me. Hold on.
Yep.
I need to
She's gonna get
change
it ready for us.
that.
But I have it pulled up.
Okay, is that yes?
That's the one.
Awesome. All right.
But it's a specific spot, so I'm gonna get it ready.
Okay.
Bop-a-da-boop. Bop-a-da-boop-boop. Okay, play.
Yeah, when I heard about this, I was like, oh my god.
Yep.
He really just like.
There she is. Okay. Maybe here. Thought it was a little bit later.
Time. Acting as his own lawyer, Bundy questioned her about his character. She said he's a kind, warm, patient man. It's a very positive part of her life. Then the convicted man popped the question.
Sure. You want to marry me? I want to marry you.
There was no visible reaction in the courtroom.
Oh my
Bundy went on
gosh.
questioning Boone. The prosecution called the marriage proposal a charade and asked the jury to consider the timing of the announcement.
But
The jury deliberated about 45 minutes. They came back with a decision of death.
spoilers. So apparently there was an officiant in the room, so it counted as a legal marriage.
Oh god.
Yep. All right, bring us back. Can you take us back to
Oh
our...
yes. I was like,
Yeah.
to what?
So that is the least romantic place, gentlemen, you can propose.
Yeah,
to a woman,
don't
by the way, during your
don't,
criminal proceedings.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Just don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's not romantic. It's not, I mean, the girl's not gonna, it's not a memory that we're gonna want forever and ever. Like,
Don't do that. So that was the shotgun wedding. We all attended. Wasn't that nice?
mhm.
Again, with my
How sweet.
romantic. Now,
I want to, so we don't have time, obviously. You said it was gonna be long, there's a lot of stuff. But I kind of also want to get into like the psychology of this lady.
yeah.
Like I wanna like DSM-5 this.
I
Woman.
think and that would be an awesome like extra bonus clip if we
Oh.
could do that for our
extra bonus.
subscribers.
Yeah.
My first thoughts, I haven't done any of this, but I know there are a lot of accounts from her. And like her, and I'm envisioning it right now. It's almost, I don't want to get it right, but I'm summarizing now. My, not obsession, but my infatuation with a serial killer. That's kind of her take on it, and I don't know,
So
because I
she
haven't
knows that
watched
he was a
it.
serial killer.
Mhm.
She said infatuation with a serial killer. So she like,
Right, I don't know if she thought that at the time,
oh, okay.
but like now,
Oh, right.
she's talking, she has her own interviews and books and stuff.
But she's there, so she hears all the evidence, and she like, no.
I think, and again, I'm gonna go back to my experiences, and you too, you've had them too, but you're blinded by charm. You're blinded by
Yep.
desire. That person wants me,
Yeah.
and it feels good to be wanted by someone who is charming.
And he didn't kill me. I'm alive.
I'm special.
So obviously, I mean,
He
yeah,
can't be a
I'm
killer.
special.
Yeah.
He loves me. Yeah,
He's
just
so sweet and kind. So I think it's just a blindness, like a love blindness. He's a chameleon. I mean, he can be what he needs to be to fit what he wants.
I
you know?
remember feeling when I first learned about this woman and that they got married and the trial and stuff. I remember thinking like, oh, how random, like how like quick and how random it was. And so I wanted to know how they got to talking, how they met, how their relationship evolved to the point of like, yeah, we want to get married, right?
Right.
Like, just how does that happen? Like, you've got to be the kind of woman that like seeks out
Bad guys.
felons or seeks out people in prison.
People do that.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I will never
don't
understand.
get
It's kind of
it.
like So remember that series You?
Loved that show.
Me too. I ate it up. Anyway, so I love that show. But I mean, there were people. Apparently, Penn Badgley, the actor, he like came out and said like all of these women that are fantasizing about my character, like just like what's wrong with you? Like stop. Like
Yeah, no.
it's not. He's an awful, terrible
bad
human.
guy.
He's a bad guy. What are you doing? Like sure, okay, he's cute, but like he's a monster.
It's charm. It's the charm. It's when you can, the charisma, the charm.
Yeah.
Eh.
I mean, I say that I wouldn't be the same, but who knows?
I mean, yeah. And that's what's scary. That's why we need to know everything we can about them so we can identify it if it ever happens in our circles.
Yep.
So, weird courtroom theatrics and tactics. Sentencing comes. And this is the pre-sentencing trial where Carol DeRonch testified against him. And I watched a video. And I can't find it to share with you because I really want to.
Oh.
But it's a short on YouTube, which there are billions of them, I'm sure. But he describes his feelings, which take them or leave them for truth or fiction. But while Carol DeRonch is testifying against him, and he's like, I was enraged. Honey, you were enraged that she got away? You were enraged that she survived? You were enraged that she's standing up against you? What were you enraged about,
Yeah.
But he goes on to say some other things, but that part right there was like, while she's talking, he's like, I was so enraged.
Yeah, like, this is not the time to have any feelings about any, like, this is not the time to be enraged. Like, what?
I just thought, how
Like,
dare you? I don't know. You don't get to feel enraged.
I love how he is just telling everybody that he's guilty with all of these like emotional outbursts and talking about his feelings. Like, don't talk about your feelings. Like, you need to be stoic.
Be
right
the
now.
charming chameleon that you're so good at.
You need to be either just be charming or like just
Shut
shut
up.
the fuck up. Yeah.
Shut up.
Just
Yep.
sit there. Or I mean, he was his attorney, so he couldn't, but like, this is what I mean is like these criminals, they get this like larger than life
Mm-hmm.
air, and they just think that you can't touch them and whatever.
They're untouchable,
and
right,
But
yeah.
then they're so emotional.
When someone points the finger at them,
which is their
rightfully,
which
yeah.
is their undoing.
Yep.
So just
After, the jury came back guilty
yeah.
on all charges. Judge Edward, same judge, some of the quotes I want to share with you. Dog is being silly. Yeah, he's fine. In court at the sentencing hearing now, because now it's judge's turn to talk, right? He can say what he wants, how he feels, I guess, about this, and why he's sentencing how he's sentencing. Because it's ultimately the judge's choice and determination on what happens to you in a courtroom. The jury says, we looked at all the evidence, and this is how we found it. Guilty, guilty, guilty. The judge is like, all right, either I'm going to agree with you or I'm going to be like, nope, they're wrong. You know, they have that power. So at sentencing, Judge Edward, I have a couple of quotes for you. Quote, "The court finds that these crimes were extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile." There's your title.
The title.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't realize the title was actually
Quote.
something.
"And that the actions of the defendant were unprovoked, unaccountably malicious, and free of any merciful impulses." End quote. I think that is a perfect bundle
Bundy
of
bundle.
Bundy.
Sorry, I don't know why.
A Bundy!
Bundy bundle.
A Bundy bundle! I think that was really, really well stated by him. But that's also where you get the title of Netflix's movie.
Which is really good.
It is a really good movie, by the way.
Zac Efron did a good job.
He did. And he also has a lot of comments about how he felt playing Bundy, which are fun to listen to.
Oh, I didn't even... I'll have to look that up.
Judge Edward also says, "Take care of yourself, young man, and, quote, I'd have loved to have you practice law before me," end quote.
Because it was it was probably entertaining as shit for the judge.
Maybe, but I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe he should have kept that to himself.
Well, he was probably just... I mean, I take that as, like, he was, like, kind of making fun of him. Like, I love to see you freaking come unglued in front of me. Or maybe he loves that he was the judge on this trial that was able to, like...
Maybe.
Sentence this man and send him straight to hell.
Could be. He also was, like, summarized, or I guess we'll call it summarized, as stating how much of a waste of potential Bundy was.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on that a little bit longer in his statements, so I didn't add that in there. I'm just going to kind of...
Sorry, I had another random fear.
It's all good. Then, so he is sentenced to death for the Chi Omega murders and attacks. And then the Kimberly Leach trial happened. So they're separate. Kimberly Leach was the 12-year-old that he murdered.
So he defended himself for all of these,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Now, again, we already talked about the evidence being the van fibers found on her body, and they match perfectly, right? The witness testimonies of him guiding her to the van, the receipts of the motel right next door, basically, to the junior high school where she was.
Mm-hmm.
So, easy peasy done. He never, like you said, never confessed to that one.
Yeah.
But the jury was like, you did it.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, you did it. So he was sentenced again for a kidnapping and murder. So he was sentenced to death. So he had 2 death sentences plus...
Yeah, because minor isn't minor, like, that's capital
That's
murder.
more.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, but murder is bad. Murder is... We're not going to get on
Yeah.
that tangent, but we can talk about that all day long. So he was sentenced to 2 life sentences, or 2 death sentences, plus like 90 years for the other crimes. So, good luck getting out of that one.
Yeah.
Then we're about halfway through, y'all. I told you it's going to be a long one.
Mm-hmm.
Take a stretch break if you need to.
That's fine.
We've got Death Row. Not Death Row Records. We're not going back to Diddy.
Just such a dope name.
It is. It's so much better.
It's such
so
a
much
dope
better.
name.
Bad
for
boy, bad boy.
Bad boy. Yeah, oh my god.
Sorry, okay.
Death Row Record. Like, I want to listen to all of Death Row Records, everything they put out, just for the name alone. Anyway, sorry.
So, Bundy is on death row. And as we've sprinkled in a couple of instances, he attempts to stay the execution, like, push it off as much as possible, because, again, he's a coward in the end, right? He doesn't want to die. Shocking. That's a pun for later, because old Sparky gets him. Sorry. I will laugh in the face of Ted Bundy. Now that he's dead. I wouldn't in real life.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, if you laugh at him, he'll kill you.
Yeah. That'd be the last thing I do.
Uh.
Anyways. So he is on death row for about 10 years.
Okay.
Which I'm learning, or I've learned, is not really that long.
Yeah, people are on death row for like lifetime. Like
That shouldn't happen.
It's yeah, no,
That
I
shouldn't
don't
happen.
I don't understand. Like you should not. So I had a thought the other night, which was you shouldn't be on death row for more years than your victim had. Like if you kill somebody, like if you kill a kid and they were 5 or something, you should not get to live longer
Makes sense.
than your victim did. And that was just a thought I had, and I was like, that's good. I like that.
I mean, I know, and this is kind of where I think, I'm pretty sure, that the death row sentences get prolonged, or they're on death row for longer amounts of time, is because we have had in our judicial system and others around the world wrongful convictions. And people have been executed under a wrongful conviction.
Yeah, you gotta, I guess, give people time to, and if people have appeals, like, you gotta
Right.
wait until all that is done.
Exhausted and stuff. But it's just, it baffles my mind when the evidence is so blaring.
Yeah.
They don't get extra breaths. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. Tell me yours. So, death row. We've got some really interesting characters coming into play. We've got some psychiatrists, psychologists, reverends, other lawyers, detectives, and things like that, who all kind of want to take a crack at him. Because he still hasn't given proof or evidence of some of the victims' remains locations. And he's still refusing to confess to some of the victims that are like Kimberly Leach are clearly his victims. He refuses to accept that. So there are a lot of people and entities who want finality, I guess. And what's really sad is you're not going to get that from a narcissistic serial killer. You're not.
Yeah, but you should know that. Like, these professionals should know that.
I think so, but I think also coming from, like, a family of, like, Kimberly Leach's family, right?
Oh, yeah.
You want...
Yeah, I was just talking
absolution,
about the professionals. Yeah.
Right, but I think they're there on those people's behalfs for the most part.
Okay.
And I think that's what just really sours my stomach about him and other killers and criminals, who refuse to accept blame. Or it's not about you. It's not about you. You took the life of someone who belonged to someone, who was a family, who had a family and mom and dad and sisters and brothers.
Yeah, but they're not gonna think like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where I think that disconnect happens between the victims' families and this bad guy. I need you to accept, tell me what you did with her. And he's like, I didn't do anything. Who are you? And like just playing with this food kind of situation, And it's just, it's gross. But then you have the psychiatrist and the psychologist, which you can kind of affirm, I
can reaffirm.
It's this intrigue of why.
Yeah.
And Bundy saw the need for information from him as a way to extend his life. And he used it.
Yeah.
And so he would kind of play with these people, saying, I've got more. I know things, but if you kill me, you'll never know. Those kinds of, tactics and things like that. And then comes in Dr. James Dobson, who was a minister.
Okay.
And at this time, late 70s, mid 80s, pornography was getting big. It's not a pun. And Reverend Dobson, I'm sure was a godly man. I don't know him, but I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt there. And I think he so thought he could get Bundy to just confess and let it out and just be free of that before you die and have absolution and whatever else that is, you know?
Well, I mean, that's what reverends are for. They're, you know,
Right.
they're there for people to empty their purse.
But I think in all of the information we have on Dr. James Dobson, Mr. Minister, at that time, I mean, now it's different, you know, in later years, but at that time, he was so convinced of his convictions that pornography tainted this young man's mind and caused him to be violent.
I mean, pornography is really bad for people's brains. There's a book about it, but
How many people in the world watch pornography and don't kill people?
well, yeah, no, I'm not saying.
I mean,
it's the
I know,
only thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I can understand that, but I'm just saying, kind of like the video games made me bad or made me violent. That happened not too long ago. That was a big,
Yeah.
you know, argument in courts and things like that. Mm-hmm. But Dr. James Dobson, he has recorded interviews with Bundy in prison, trying to talk to him about, you know, salvation and God and just confessing your sins and being truly remorseful, you know, repentant about it. And while he's still on death row, he still will be executed. His soul could be saved. So that was really the conversations he was having with Bundy.
I hope it wasn't his soul. Oh, it wasn't saved.
You know, that is between Bundy and his savior. However, Bundy, Mr. Mass Manipulator as he was, lied. Are we surprised? He lied to the minister and said that he grew up in a loving Christian home. Lisa, how'd he grow up?
He was born from a woman who got pregnant and not married, who then was shuffled off to a home in Vermont for unwed mothers, and then he was raised by his grandparents and believed until he was in college that his mom was his sister.
And was it a very safe, loving home?
No, it was not.
No, it was not. We talked about that in episode 1. So he's a big fat liar. Surprise, surprise. And Dr. Dobson ate it up. Unfortunately, and I think that happens quite a bit. I mean, obviously with Bundy, but specifically with people who are spiritual or of a faith that they're very convicted of. They want so badly to share that conviction with others. And when they show that they're being, I don't know, confirmed in their conviction also, it's almost like a high, I imagine, for this reverend. He's like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, you know, and Bundy's eating it up. Because he's like, yeah, another mask I can wear. Woohoo, let's try this one out, you know, kind of thing.
Actually, this all reminds me. Can I take the Mindhunter book?
Yeah.
I dog-eared a page that I want to, something I want to share. Because I'm obsessed with this book. I'm on the second one now of the series. Okay, hold on. So I'm just gonna read it. It's a little part. It talks about. Sorry, one moment, please. People often ask us if, through our research and experience, we can now predict which children are likely to become dangerous in later life. Roy Hazelwood's answer is sure, but so can any good elementary school teacher, which also kind of reminds me of that story you shared.
Yep.
And if we can get them treatment early enough and intensively enough, it might make a difference. So a significant role model adult during the formative years can make a world of difference. So Bundy did not get that.
Right.
Hold hold on. There's a better one, though, too.
Not to excuse his behavior, but to understand it.
There's a better one, too. So, like, his whole thing about, I grew up in a loving home, like, they never, it talks about, like, they never do. Like, the people that commit these violent crimes, they don't have good childhoods, and they don't have good foundations. Yeah. So, but 25 years of observation has also told me that criminals are more made than born, which means that somewhere along the line, someone who provided a profound negative influence could have provided a profound positive one instead. So what I truly believe is that along with more money and police and prisons, what we most need more of is love. This is not being simplistic. It's at the very heart of the issue. Yeah, so, like, I understand the Reverend, like, wanting to believe so badly that he is at his soul is good, and he just needs to, like, come whatever, and believing that he had a good childhood. Like, he didn't. These violent people don't. They are not treated well in their formative years, and that the formative years are so important. And this is something that I've studied a lot when I became a mom, was formative years everything. Your attachments are everything. So you want to have positive attachments, and you want to it's formative years are so important, and it basically will make them the people they will become as adults. It had, like, everything about who you are as an adult has to do with
where you came from,
the formative years, which are, like, usually, like, it's like 1 or 0 to, like, 5 or 7, or, like, it's something, it's like the very little. So it's crazy to me how, like, the way I am as a 35-year-old has a lot to do with the first several years
of course. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And it's not all that you are, but it does really structure.
Yeah. So if you have a bad attachment as a kid, you're going to grow up feeling like you, like, attaching yourself to people is not safe, and you're going to commitment. Yeah. Sorry, that's a whole other topic, but yeah, I just wanted to share that because it reminded me of that.
Which is interesting because in one of those quotes you just said was about bad guys, I don't know what you said, criminals, are made, not born. There is a quote from another investigator or police worker of the time that worked on the cases against Bundy that said almost exactly that, but he said, this is the exception. And it's just funny to me because we've talked kind of about a very similar topic many times about, just why. That's one of the reasons we have this podcast, is we're so interested in how people become what they become and why they do what they do.
Yeah.
But I remember that man was like, this guy was born evil. I was like, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is both, right? Like, you can be born, like we're talking about like psychopaths, like they're born with their brains that way, right? But, like, how you raise them in their formative years can go a long way either direction. It can either really help them, or it can make it worse, anyway. And a lot of people, like, psychopathy and sociopathy is not as prevalent as we seem to, like, think it is. So, like, a lot of these people that do violent crimes, they may not necessarily be psychopaths or sociopaths. It's just the way they were brought up made them hateful and angry,
reactive,
So anyways, sorry,
I love studying the brain.
That tangent.
So we have this situation. One of Bundy's quotes in these taped interviews, recordings with the Reverend, he's quoted as saying, engaging in pornography as a teenager sent me, or him, down the path toward increasingly violent pornography, rape, and murder. So in that, I find it interesting, because is he confessing?
Oh, he's talking about himself? Oh, that's interesting.
He's blaming pornography, but he's also saying something made him rape and murder. So, did you rape and murder? Are you confessing to that?
Somebody should look this guy up.
And then, in other interviews he was having that were also recorded, he almost exclusively speaks in the hypothetical and third person perspective, like, well, if a person were to have done this, that kind of thing, they would probably hide them in a secluded place in, I don't know, Taylor Mountain. Like that kind of stupidness. So he refused to explicitly or implicitly, whatever, state, I did that, I killed them.
Oh,
for
okay.
a lot of
now
that
you're
stuff.
talking about Bundy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, pornography did not...
No, it's not.
It wasn't a winning defense.
Yeah. No, that's.
He didn't get off death row because he blamed pornography.
Yeah.
In case you're a bad guy and listening to this and trying to find ideas, it's not going to work.
Porn is not enough. Porn is just it's
not enough.
It's not. There's.
It's your choice, y'all.
Porn can definitely desensitize, and you
Right.
can start seeing women as like less than whatever.
Or
But
objectifying
porn
them.
itself is not going to make you go out and rape people.
Right.
Right. Like that doesn't make sense.
So he continues to try to control his image on death row. He continues to deflect responsibility, like the pornography made me do it. And he's just distancing himself from literally anything that would connect him to anything bad. He's still trying to put on the good boy charade.
Until the very end.
Until the very end, we have Bill Hagmaier, FBI.
Oh, he's in this book. They talk about him in
There
this book.
is. He's also one that Bundy attached to for some reason, and Bundy calls him his best friend.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
Huh.
And Bill is... I watched a couple of interviews of Bill by, like later years after Bundy's dead and everything. And how'd that make you feel when Bundy referred to you as his best friend? This is his quote, Mr. Bill Hagmaier. I knew the hand of the man who called me his best friend also cut the heads off of other people's daughters and sisters. End quote. That should be like... I don't know how you or compartmentalize that, but okay. And he goes on to say, quote, it wasn't uncomfortable when he said that, and it was just the two of us. But when other people heard about this and they'd ask, how can you be friends with him? Well, his opportunity to make friends was slim. End quote. Don't be friends with a serial killer.
Well, so, okay, but at the same time, like, you want to kind of play into...
And that was kind of Bill, that was his thing, yeah.
So, like, the whole point of this, Mindhunter and, like, psychology of stuff is oh, he's calling me his best friend. Yeah, we're friends.
Yeah,
It's
let's
totally-
pretend. Wink, wink. Yeah.
John Douglas, the guy who wrote this book, there was one guy who, had raped a bunch of women. I think they were prostitutes or something. I don't know. But then, he played into he kind of had started speaking crassly and saying so what, you just you needed to take them away from the rest of us and all of this stuff. You kind of have to get on their level so that they trust you, and then if they trust you, they'll open up more, whatever.
Right.
So he obviously, when he left that interview, felt icky and gross, but that's, you kind of have to put yourself in that mindset when you're...
I couldn't do that.
I couldn't either.
I could not do that. I
couldn't either.
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless... I feel like my passion for getting these people to confess, maybe that would be enough to kind of I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get this guy to admit to what he did, and then I can fucking put him away forever.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would be able to yeah, okay, I'll pretend for 2 hours.
Play along, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's what, honestly, I think good police work is, really being able to connect
Yeah.
with the criminal long enough to let them...
Yeah, you want them to be
Relax,
comfortable
yeah.
with you
Mhm.
so that they will share more.
They'll spill, they'll mess up, yeah. And that is ultimately what Bill Hagmaier, this FBI investigator, claims he was doing. But that phrase, I know the hand of the man that I just shook has cut off the heads of other people's sisters and wives. I'm like, yeah. It just gives me like, no, I can't cringe enough on that. I just can't.
Yeah.
But-
There's got to be a lot of dissociating going on. Like you
Mhm.
basically have to dissociate
Yeah.
when you do that.
Some of the final conversations Bundy had on, recorded interviews or jailhouse phones, which are always recorded, are interesting also to note. One of them was with Bill Hagmaier. Quote, this is by Bundy, you then possess them, the victims, and they shall forever be a part of you. And the grounds where you kill them, again, he's third person. He's not saying I killed them here, right? But he's like, I know these things. And the grounds where you kill them or leave them become sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them. End quote. How would you know that?
Yeah.
If you were not one of them.
Yeah, that like I would immediately be like, somebody just stake out Taylor Mountain and wait for this guy to show.
Which, funnily enough, because of his unique situation, he was also used to help catch, identify, understand
Wasn't the Green River
the Green
Killer?
River Killer, which was right there too. And so one of the things he was quoted as saying to help investigators catch this guy. Oh, did I write it down? If not, I'm just gonna have to summarize it. Oh no.
Is it above?
It's not. He said you have to find a fresh body, like a dead body someone just killed, and stake out the location because he'll be back.
Yeah.
Yup. Takes one to know one, Bundy. I wouldn't have known that. I mean, I probably could have figured out if you have the same, I don't know, but takes one to know one.
So there's two. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No,
because
it's good.
I have
Good
things.
conversation.
So I learned from reading this book, there's like two reasons that they've kind of sussed out why they go back. So there's the killers that feel remorse, and so they'll go back to kind of ask their victims for forgiveness. And then there's the ones that go back to relive it.
Yep.
And he was talking about a third one that like came up later, but I don't remember what it was. There's like a third reason that they weren't expecting, but yeah, it's like there's one case that he was talking about where one of the victims is her body is placed like next to the cemetery that another victim is buried at. Because like it's just, yeah, I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, so they kind of, along doing investigations and stuff, they kind of gradually learned these things, like, okay, so they're going back there,
Patterns and stuff.
yeah, they're going back there not just to relive the crime, but also sometimes they feel remorse. You know,
I'd be curious to know what percentage they've, I guess you can't prove that because you can lie, clearly, right? I'm so sorry. But what, like, the percentage of that remorseful return is versus the sadistic return, to the sites. I'm just curious about that. I would imagine it's probably more sadistic when you have serial killers. I mean,
I think the third one might have been because they want to they want to be in the investigation and kind of insert themselves, and so they're
yes.
going back to see, is
How
there
much do you
cops
know?
around? Is there
Yeah.
cops around? Oh, I saw something. You know,
Look
so like
over
a
there.
lot of these killers, like John Douglas will tell the police, like, you've already interviewed this guy. You know,
Yeah,
like you.
because they want, yeah,
because they want to
narcissism,
be
they want to
in
know,
it. They want
yeah.
to be in it. They want to know what's happening. You know, and they
how
think
much
that
they're affecting the population.
they think that if they're being helpful, they're not going to be looked at as a suspect. So, just like Bundy, I can help you catch Green River.
Don't kill me because I know things. Yeah. We have a couple of people who spoke with him again on taped confessions who have written books. gone on to be interviewed and stuff, and it's fascinating stuff. I have a huge bibliography on this today because it's like a lot of info. But if you're interested in reading any of them, they'll be in the show notes and stuff like that on the sources I used. We've got Bob Keppel, and he wrote a book with Bundy's help on catching the Green River Killer.
Wow, with Bundy's help for writing the book?
Well, with his help,
Oh.
like his notes helped
Oh.
him.
Oh.
So he used the knowledge Bundy gave him
Oh, yeah.
and
That's interesting.
and cited him in his book
wanna
called The
read
Riverman.
I'm gonna read that.
Yep. We have
My Amazon wish list is like full of my mom every Christmas. She's like, I was looking at your wish list, but I didn't want to buy anything that has to do with murder. And
why
I'm
not?
like, but that's all of them.
That's all I want.
Murder books.
Murder.
I just want to know everything about them. Anyway.
So we're getting close to the end here. And January 24th, 1989. If you know anything about Bundy, you know that is the day he died.
Day was finally done.
Yep. So his execution. I'm going to go over kind of the bulk of things. So death row in America, if your day is upon you, your day of execution has come, you are granted any meal you want. Literally anything you want, they will give you for your final meal. Bundy declined to request anything.
Oh,
So they gave him
that's interesting.
the death row special. They just gave him kind of the, okay, well then here's what we'll give you. And so he got a medium rare steak, some eggs over easy, got some toast with jam and butter, got some hash browns, and then to drink he got juice and coffee and milk. And he didn't eat any of it.
Oh, wow.
Why? Don't know, because he's a butt.
He was scared.
Probably, yeah.
When
So-
you're scared, you're nauseous. You're nauseous, you don't want to eat. He was a little scared little boy.
Big tough man all coming down, yeah. His final statements, so we know in his final hours he really tried to keep pushing that execution off, and he only agreed to talk to Bill Hagmaier. So he was trying to make it hard for them so that he could get more time to just live, you know? And so they're like, I'll only talk to him, but I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything. Just give me Bill, his best friend. Poor Bundy. He called, he did confess finally, because he hadn't yet admitted to the Chi Omega murders, but in these final hours with Bill Hagmaier, he finally confessed to the Chi Omega murders and attacks.
Okay.
He finally confessed to the attack on Cheryl, the one down the road from the Chi Omega, but never did our 12-year-old, unfortunately. And then he was also granted a couple of telephone calls. Of course, they're being monitored. He called his mom.
Do we know what he said?
Yes, we do. He was, we have the general understanding that he was teary and remorseful when he was talking to his mom. And we do have a quote. I'm so sorry. This is a quote from Bundy to his mama. I'm so sorry I've given you all such grief, but a part of me was hidden all the time. End quote.
Wow, that's pretty
Incriminating, right?
incriminating, but also like self-aware,
Yeah.
Because they mean it's your mom, right? So like
True.
if I'm talking to my mom, I'm gonna also be super honest and
Yeah.
and also feel bad for what I put her through. Yeah. So
His very, very final words while he's strapped up to old Sparky, who was the electric chair. His final words were to his attorney and the Reverend. He says, quote, Jim, attorney, and Fred, minister, I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends, end quote.
we will
And-
do no such thing.
Then he fried. Now, this is where I think I was not there when this happened. I was not alive when any of this was going on.
Paul was born that year.
There is a lot of documentation on the celebrations
Yeah, there were
at
so
his
many
execution.
There's so many people outside, so many posters.
They were
so many,
dancing,
like,
they were singing, they were cheering, they were clapping as his
Having
hearse
a
drove
rave.
by. I'm curious about your thoughts on that. So, again, media was there. Media was covering it all. I'm sure media was biased too. I think inside I'd be like relieved that this man is no longer a menace to our society.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't
is
like
it insensitive? I mean, I don't know. Talking about Bundy, is
Not
it
as-
insensitive? I don't.
Insensitive, I don't think insensitive is the right word because it was Bundy, so like he wasn't sensitive, so like who cares, right?
Right.
But I don't think that I would be able to like celebrate death like that, no matter
Right.
like I mean I would definitely be like, okay,
Relief,
it's over
right? Like,
now,
whew,
relief.
yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be like dancing in
Yeah!
the streets and like
Mhm.
having like a rave, outside of the thing, like
After someone was just executed.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not because like that's insensitive to the guy who just got fried because like he should have, and I'm glad
He
he
was a terrible,
he did.
deplorable human being.
But I mean, just death in general, like I don't know, it's not a party
Right.
celebratory thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that goes even beyond what you think about death penalty, right? I mean, there are a lot of statements at the time that the news was interviewing like students on Florida State campus and Florida State University campus, and every single one of the people on the interview was in favor of or in support of the death penalty for Bundy. So there was pretty much nobody in his court in that sense.
Yeah.
However, I think that's my opinion, I think that's different than celebrating the fact that we just killed someone.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I mean, I'm more comfortable with like celebrating and having a party when he's finally caught for the last time.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, yeah, wow, finally, they finally. But like him being like he was already behind bars for 10 years. Like that's the party time, and then like just the final like, yay, his heart stopped beating. Like I don't know.
It's
Like,
kind of weird, right?
It is a little
weird.
It's a little weird. I don't know.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a family member of anybody that was directly involved. I don't know what that's like. I just think that's a little over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really like it.
I
mean, you can go home and like woohoo in your house.
Yep.
Like you don't have to show up with like bells and whistles on and
It's
like
signs and
big
everything,
signs
Fry
and
Bundy
stuff,
Fry and things
yeah,
like that.
Just that's I don't know. Like cuz that at a certain point it becomes like you're not celebrating that this man was caught and that he
Right.
can't do this anymore because that was already the case. You're just celebrating death,
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, just
But this happens every time there's like a notorious killer on death row, you know?
And it's weird, like, so I just had this weird thought just now. So I see death as like a release, as like a, like you're no longer burdened, you're no
Right.
longer, so I mean, really, I feel like I would have like I would have preferred if Bundy had been like
Life sentence
given
instead
like
of,
given a potion that makes him like immortal, and they just like keep him locked up for the rest of the time, right? Like instead of like, oh, death, he gets
it's
to
an
just
easy out.
It's an easy out. He gets to just go to sleep forever, and then like
I know. I'm almost every single time I'm on the fence about death penalty versus life sentence because of that.
Yeah.
It's like you did such a horrible, horrendous thing, Why do you get to get off?
Yeah, like die in prison
Yeah.
and then be buried with like an unmarked grave as like.
I was like, let me tell you where he was
They
buried,
do.
but
Oh.
yeah. Mm.
But they do, and then like. Yeah, I don't know. Just
They shouldn't get any licenses or freebies, because they're gonna die. No, you did a bad thing, and this is our justice system, and the jury and the judge did this after all the evidence. This is what's going to happen, but
it's an interesting discussion.
it is.
Because, I mean, on the one hand, you're like, well, I don't want, as a taxpayer, like, I don't want to pay for him to
his
be
breath,
in prison
yeah,
forever, right? Like, I have to pay for that out of my taxes. But, like, I mean, I totally understand that, and
Right.
I don't want to pay for Bundy either, right? But, like, I also don't want him to just, like, get off the
Yeah.
hook.
Be free of his innocence.
Because
or
when
be
I
free of his
see,
guilt.
when I think of death, I think of, like, all the things, everything that happened on Earth, everything you did on Earth, it doesn't matter anymore, and you're just,
It's over.
you're just,
Next chapter.
wherever you believe you go, that's just,
Now, we could have a whole podcast on death row versus
yes.
life sentences.
That's why I like
There's
ended
so
mine.
much.
I was like, I could keep going, but I won't.
But I told you this is going to be a long one today. I want to kind of start wrapping it up because in the beginning, I said, we're going to talk about that at the end, about the myths of Ted Bundy that we have maybe always believed, but the survivors of him are going to set us straight. So, the myth of Ted Bundy. We're almost there. Myth number 1. He was a criminal genius. Wrong. He made a lot of mistakes, clearly.
Yeah.
He fumbled. He was not as smart as he thought he was. So, no, he was not a criminal genius.
We could say he was bumbling.
Descendants. The descendants of bumbling Ron. In Ted Bundy. Myth number 2. He was devastatingly handsome. No, he wasn't. He was average.
I mean, he wasn't scary looking.
He wasn't an ogre, but he wasn't this, like, I don't know, Hollywood star.
Yeah, I mean, Zac Efron's definitely cuter than he was.
Oh, amen.
Uh-huh.
But he wasn't. He was a charmer. He was a liar.
Yeah.
And could lie to your face eloquently enough to make you think he was Mr.
Yeah, I mean, if a
whatever,
guy is charming enough, that in itself is going to make him
handsome.
cuter.
Yeah. Attractive. So he was not devastatingly handsome. Myth. Number 3. Nobody suspected him. Big fat lie. If you could look back to or think back to Lake Sammamish, lots of people suspected him, but who wouldn't believe them? The police. So it's not that nobody suspected him, it's that the people in power at that time wouldn't believe the people who suspected him.
And then Elizabeth Kendall called the police and said, "This is my boyfriend."
Right.
And they told her no.
Exactly. So she's one of, like, Liz Kepfer or Kendall. We have coworkers, friends, witnesses all over, People suspected him. So that's a big fat lie too.
But he donated to some police
Whatever.
thing, and so he's above reproach.
So you're
He
not
gives us
allowed.
money, he's above reproach.
Not allowed to speak badly of them. Myth number 4. He was unstoppable. Big fat lie. He got stopped quite a bit. Because he was a bad driver, honestly. If he would have been a better driver, he probably wouldn't have gotten caught.
Yeah.
That's sad truth.
Yeah.
Carol Duranch escaped. We have Kathy Kleiner survived. This is the myth buster of him being unstoppable, by the way. Karen Chandler, Cheryl Thomas survived. Lots of women refused his rides. So he wasn't this, I don't know, what is that venomous plant? Venus flytrap kind of thing, right? People were saying no to him. And it's like he's not this mythical god with unstoppable power, people were standing up to him in the time of his rampages, so stop giving him all this credit, people, if that's you. Myth number 5. Ted Bundy is the story. No. Margaret Bowman, Lisa Levy, Kathy Kleiner Rubin, Karen Chandler, Lynette Culver, Cheryl Thomas, Kimberly Leach, Carol DeRoche, their families, and their courage is the story.
That's the story.
Now, I know I spoke about, I think it was Kathy Kleiner before, and how she's gone on to be a real big advocate and speaker, at college campuses and things about safety and being unstoppable through or persistent through your trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also been quoted about him saying he wasn't some, God kind of thing. He was a normal person. And so that's kind of one of her big things on speaking at campuses and stuff is you're not going to be looking, or the bad guys aren't the ones who stick out typically, is her whole thing. And just to be aware, and so I think that she has a lot of power in that. And Carol DeRoche, I mean, all of these women who survived him or were able to stand up against him have such a power to share with young women all around, I mean, men too, but guys, I'm sorry, young women are typically targeted more. And I think it's really important that women who have been through extreme traumas like this, that they're strong enough and brave enough to share that with the population that they once were when they were targeted.
Yeah.
So to wrap us up, we have her, Kathy Kleiner Rubin. Now, her memoir is A Light in the Dark: Surviving More Than Ted Bundy. So she published that in 2023. And again, she's a motivational speaker and she advocates for, pushing
And I
through.
like that she titled it Surviving More Than Ted Bundy, because he's not the story, and
Right.
he's not the only thing. Yeah.
Right. So this is the end of Bundy for us. And I'm glad we're wrapping him up. I'm usually glad at the end of our deep dives because we're just kind of consumed with this evil person,
Yeah.
for a month.
Yeah. And Epstein was just,
But
it was a long time.
yes. So officially putting the nail in the coffin. Oh, I didn't tell you, speaking of nail in the coffin for Bundy, he wasn't buried. He was cremated.
Oh.
And at his request, guess where they scattered his ashes?
Tyler Mountain.
Yep. I find that the most disgusting, deplorable thing.
Yes. He wants to be
Like
with
forever
them,
with
forever. Oh God.
Even
Talk
past death.
about revisiting this. Oh,
I find that deplorable.
I didn't know that. Now I want to take a shower.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. That's,
That was in his will.
he should have been denied that.
I agree.
You don't get to be with them.
How disgusting. Okay, so I don't know, think of the worst murderer or criminal that you can think of, and they die, either executed or naturally. And in their will is, I want to be buried next to my victims.
No.
That's not allowed. That
Absolutely
should not
not.
be allowed.
Absolutely not.
No.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
So, I was really trying to not end on him, but it came back. Ugh.
That's so gross.
It is gross.
That's so gross.
And that it was allowed.
That's so
Should
gross.
not be allowed.
Yeah, no, I would have been like, absolutely not. He's dead. He's not gonna know. We'll put his ashes
In the
fucking
toilet.
trash can or something.
We almost said the same thing, so pretty good. Trash can, toilet, both gross.
Just like flush him down the
Yeah. So we're done with that piece of trash, and we're gonna get back to plain old murder.
Yep.
But it's gonna be insane twists. So something that we're not expecting. And you're up next. So
I am up next.
gotta find us a twisty one.
Yep, I will. I think I found a pretty good one.
Yes. Okay. So we thank you for sticking with us,
Yeah.
and hopefully you learned something new about Bundy that is a myth buster.
Yep.
And we can put him to the side for now. He's fun. He's fun to. I'm looking at my DSM-5. He's fun. He's fun to delve into criminally in the mind, but
Yeah.
I'm done with him.
It's just so interesting to me, and I know we're done, but it's so interesting how his reasons, his why was juvenile. This girl in college who you know, whatever, hurt his feelings, but then like he was so this is so weird to say, but he was so good at murder. Like he was just very calculated, conniving, and just like so juvenile reasons, but like a very, very adult, very, very monstrous MO
Actions,
and
yeah.
signature and actions and stuff. It just,
But again, I think that
and like the overkill and the biting her butt after she was dead thing, like it's, you know, that just,
it's, I don't know, it like you're going back to your childhood, you know, you would do that out of anger.
Yeah.
When someone unjustly took your things, right? It's juvenile. It's,
yeah.
I'm gonna humiliate you more.
Yeah, like he was a boy, but he did very, very, very adult, serious, terrifying, monstrous things.
Right.
So just
And never
the
accepted.
juxtaposition of that, and like the fact that they were together, like it's just, I don't know.
Yep. The criminal mind.
Yeah.
It is fascinating.
It is, yeah.
So thanks for sticking around with us.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share. You could share this live, or you could share the video with people. Make sure you follow us on social medias, and you can send us an email if you want to crimetestpod@protonmail.com.
With your requests for any cases you want covered, we will totally shout out your name.
I'm very proud of myself for remembering the email address.
You did.
I didn't even look at it.
Yes.
So yeah, and sorry for all the weird tech issues going on. We are,
It's part of being
as we
live.
keep saying, it's just us and a microphone and a tiny room. So
Tiny room, microphone.
you know, maybe eventually, if we start, you know, this really takes off, maybe we can get like a studio or like
That would be so
somebody to help us.
Be cool.
That would be cool.
Also, quick shout out again to John,
Yes.
our
Lakeland.
sponsor.
Yeah.
So thank you again for sponsoring our show, bringing criminals to light, not letting them get away with it past their convictions. We appreciate you. Anyways, I guess that's it.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next
See you
week.
next time. Bye.
Bye.